I want them to be punished and for the whole village to be taught a lesson, Chika's mother said. Slowly, the water goddess Nnemiri appeared from the water. How would you want them to pay for their crime and foolishness? Nnemiri asked Chika's mother. I want all the manhoods of the men taken away from them and the breasts of the women taken away from their chests. The next morning, all the men in the village woke up to realize that their manhoods had disappeared and the protruding chests of the women now flat with no signs of even nipples. Once upon a time, in a little village called Uzamala, lived a wealthy man called Mazi Arinze. Mazi Arinze was a philanthropist who cheerfully gives and helps everyone around him. And for this reason, the people of Uzamala loved and respected him. He had helped many young men in Uzamala acquire farmlands for free, which they were able to cultivate and provide for themselves as a way to help improve the lives of these young men. Mazi Arinze is said to be also richer than the king of the village, King Agu, but it does accord the king his due respect and was always supporting and giving to every project in the village. And for this, the king also likes Mazi Arinze and considers him his friend. It is because of his philanthropic nature and efforts he was conferred with a chieftaincy title by the king. He is considered a good man by the standard of the Uzamala people. But Mazi Arinze wasn't a good father, he was a weak father. Mazi Arinze has two sons, Obinna and Nnamdi. The two boys were nothing good to describe. Obinna and Nnamdi were arrogant and proud as a result of their father's words. Every time, they would walk around the village parading themselves as though their father was the king and they were princes. They had some other young men their age grade who followed them everywhere around the village and became their unofficial servants in exchange for their friendship and for the things they stand to gain. In addition to their father's wealth, Obinna and Nnamdi were also good looking, and these two qualities and advantage they have earned them the admiration of the young girls in the village. Obinna and Nnamdi took advantage of this and slept with many girls in the village. They would promise a girl marriage, but would dump the girl as soon as they have had carnal knowledge of the girl. And when some parents of some of these girls would go to complain to Mazi Arinze about what his sons have done and how they had deceived their daughters, Mazi Arinze would apologize to them and offer them large yam tubers and some money as a way of bribing them to overlook the injustice and shameful acts of his son. And it is because of this I describe Mazi Arinze as a bad father. Mazi Arinze had lost his wife immediately after the birth of Nnamdi and when Obinna was only 2 years old. Having so much love for his two sons, he over-pampered them and turned a blind eye to every wrong thing they did even when they were children. And now that they have grown, he has completely lost control and is unable to call them to order. This is why I have also described him as a weak father. There was a girl in the village named Chika. Chika lives with her poor widowed mother. Chika was also a very beautiful girl. Despite her poor state and the poor worn-out clothes she wore, she was still desirable. A few young men had approached her, but Chika, knowing that their intentions were not right, rejected their advances. Obinna and Nnamdi on different occasions have also approached Chika, and she rejected their advances too. This did not go down well with them. For every girl they had desired and wanted, they had, either through consent or by force. This Chika girl thinks too highly of herself. It's like she doesn't know that she's lucky for me to have noticed her, Obinna said, as he angrily walked into their living room one afternoon. Oh, brother, so you have interest in Chika too? Nnamdi, who was in the living room while his brother walked in, asked. Yes, but it's nothing serious. I only desire to have a taste of her waist, Obinna replied. As usual, my brother, I also want the same, Nnamdi said. So, they hatched a plan to have Chika by force since she wouldn't consent to their advances. One afternoon, Chika was at the village stream washing some clothes when Nnamdi and Obinna arrived. There were also few other young folks at the stream at that time. Obinna and Nnamdi spoke to the other young folks in hushed tones and offered them money. What they had told them was that they should forget about whatever had brought them to the river and what they were doing at the stream and leave immediately. The people started leaving immediately, and Chika wondered why they were leaving. Sensing danger, Chika gathered her clothes to leave also, but Obinna and Nnamdi stopped her, and in split seconds before she could say or do anything, they took turns and forced themselves on her. The shock and trauma made Chika passed out. It was getting late already that evening, and Chika had not returned home, so her mother went to the stream to look for her, and there she saw her daughter lying unconscious with blood stains on her dress. Immediately, Chika's mother realized that her daughter has been raped and defiled. She sprinkled some water on Chika and was able to bring her back to consciousness. However, due to the injuries, Chika was unable to walk. Chika told her mother what had happened and who was responsible. The next morning, Chika's mother went to Mazi and Rinze's house to complain to him about what his sons had done. But Mazi and Rinze, in his usual way, offered her some money and asked her to let it go. Chika's mother rejected the money and insisted that all she wanted was justice for her daughter. Seeing that Mazi and Rinze would not do anything to punish his son, she took the matter to the king. But King Agu, having been bribed and wanting to maintain the friendship between himself and Mazi and Rinze, and for the things he benefits, he refused to do anything about it and would not also punish Obinna and Nnamdi. Soon, the whole village got to know about what Obinna and Nnamdi did to Chika. But instead of them to condemn the act, they instead blamed Chika for not accepting either of the brothers' advances and causing them to resort to forcefully having their way with her. This they did and say in order to remain on the good side of Mazi and Rinze and his family, and to continue enjoying from his philanthropic deeds. A poor girl like her should have considered herself lucky to have Mazi and Rinze's son pick interest in her, some girls said. They wouldn't have to force themselves on her if she had just consented, some group of guys said. Seeing that they were not getting the justice they deserve and how greed has completely blindfolded her people, Chika's mother went to the same stream where her daughter was raped and called on the water goddess Nnemiri to help her get justice. Nnemiri, you are a witness to how my daughter was defiled. I call on you today not to sleep. I want them to be punished and for the whole village to be taught a lesson, Chika's mother said. Slowly, the water goddess Nnemiri appeared from the water. How would you want them to pay for their crime and foolishness? Nnemiri asked Chika's mother. I want all the manhoods of the men taken away from them and the breasts of the women taken away from their chests, Chika's mother replied. It is granted. The next morning, all the men in the village woke up to realize that their manhoods had disappeared and the protruding chests of the women now flat with no signs of even nipples. At first, everyone had thought that it was just a personal thing happening to them, until a day later when almost half of the villagers were all visiting the village chief priest to ask for solution to the same thing. The chief priest, however, could not help them as he also had the same issue. The chief priest had also turned a blind eye to Chika and her mother's cry for justice and to the sins Mazi and Rinze's son had been committing in the village because of the gifts of goats and ants Mazi and Rinze had been gifting him. Seeing that the chief priest could not help them because he was also suffering from the same issue, King Agu sent messengers to another village to sort for another dibia. The dibia arrived and told them that the loss of their manhoods and breasts is a punishment to them for their greed and for turning blind eyes to injustice. To restore back their manhood and breasts, the dibia told them that they must all ask for forgiveness from Chika and her mother, and also send Mazi and Rinze and his sons away from the village to cleanse the land. Having no choice and wanting their reproductive organs and body back to normal, as not having that will mean that the village would go into extinction in due time, the villagers apologized to Chika and her mother, regretting their greed and their lack of sense of good judgment. Mazi and Rinze and his son were sent out of the village. Not being able and possible to carry all their lands, bands, and wealth along with them, they became paupers in the new village they settled. Mazi and Rinze, having lost everything, regretted not teaching his sons the right values of life, as he realized that he was wrong to think that he could always use money to stop the hands of justice. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story and have learned a thing or two from it. I would love to know. Please leave a comment. Thank you for watching and see you in our next video. Bye.